If you watch a lot of spiritual and metaphysical channels, you may have come across this idea of we are living in a soul trap that is apparently run by a nefarious beings or a being that is harvesting our energy. And people think that we're caught in this reincarnational trap, so to speak. So that's what I'm going to be talking about today is this idea of, are we in a soul trap? And what does Vedic astrology say about that? And is there anything that it agrees with? Is there anything that disagrees with? We're really going to do a deep dive into this idea today. So today's more of a philosophical understanding of reincarnation and Vedic astrology and how it applies. So those of you that are new to my channel, make sure you like and subscribe. This is Vedic sidereal astrology, not Western tropical astrology. So, that's why we're talking about reincarnation today, because it's very much influenced by religions like Hinduism and Buddhism. My goal is 10,000 subscribers. I'm almost at 2,200. So thank you very much for all of your support. If you're interested in a personal private reading, check for details down below. For the month of June, there's going to be the endless summer discount. Use code Thor at checkout for 40% off. And, do it well. June is still here. Okay, so let's talk about this idea of the soul trap theory. And I was watching some other YouTube channels where they're discussing this idea of we could be living in some sort of simulation, and it's a negative simulation, and we're these souls or light beings being caught in this cycle of reincarnation. So let's discuss the theory first, and then we're going to go talk about more what Vedic astrology, the tenets of Vedic astrology, and really what that's pointing us towards. So the soul trap theory is that souls are being recycled, through this cycle of reincarnation, and their energy is essentially being harvested by malevolent, I said a being or beings. Okay. So some people think this being is called the demiurge. And basically that, this AI god called the demiurge is essentially using us kind of like the movie The Matrix. They're harvesting different forms of energy off of us, and they're keeping us in this reincarnational cycle. So there's this idea also that if you start to become aware of that, you start questioning this reality, or you somehow start following a spiritual path and awakening, people have noticed anecdotally that it does seem like there's a network of people, I call them agents or beings. Some people call them agent Smiths, that come out of the woodwork to discourage you from your path or discourage you from awakening. So, and that's even happened in my life. I've noticed that when I started my spiritual search over 10 years ago, I would say that I did notice that there were quite a few characters that did kind of pop up and try to dissuade me from the path. So anyways, people have noticed, and this is why people are, really subscribing to soul trap theory. People notice that they're just in these endless loops of material desires and various dramas. And people can't figure out, why are, they're trying to find the meaning of life or meaning of existence. And they're just noticing that it's just this endless loop of problems that people are facing. Some people have even said that maybe this planet is some sort of prison planet. Okay. The energy siphoning that they say is taking place on a monetary level, emotional level, spiritual level, and mental levels of existence. And so it is believed that when one passes away, that there's this false white light that is projected towards you and set up to trick you back into the energy farm through various soul contracts and other measures, and that you're tricked back into reincarnating essentially. So that's the overall idea of soul trap theory. So it's definitely a theory that's in a dark place. So you're not thinking the reality is necessarily a friendly place. You're actually feeling like, whatever beings or being is running this reality is some sort of negative force. So it's definitely has a very sinister type of feeling to this. Okay, so let's really break down what Vedic astrology has to say about this idea of, are we stuck in a soul trap? Because I do feel there is some truth to this idea. And we're going to talk about that in just a second here. So Vedic astrology is very much tied to this idea of reincarnation. Okay, so reincarnation is absolutely believed in Vedic astrology. So when we're looking at your former past lives, we're looking at like the 12th house, we're looking at the second house of your chart, and we're kind of trying to get clues of what your karma is in this current lifetime. Now, in soul trap theory, the idea of karma is some people believe in it, and then some people just think of it in terms of these situations designed to harvest, either your resources or your emotional energy, or in some sort of way. But in Vedic astrology, the idea is that everything happening in your life, your mental experience, your emotional responses, random events that happen to you, it's all being dictated by your past life karma. So it's not necessarily the belief that there's some malevolent force that's out there really trying to wrong you in some sort of way. So that's definitely not the idea with Vedic astrology. It's believed that even if you have negative situations, that there's some sort of karmic balancing or karmic accounting that's taking place. So, but what about this idea of a soul trap? Now, this is something that Vedic astrology would agree with this soul trap theory. And we are in a cycle, according to Vedic astrology, of death and rebirth, which is known as samsara. So this is cyclic existence. So when this life is over and you move on to the next lifetime, if you have karma still, even if it's good karma, there's something that's tying you back to this reality. So this is known as samsara. So it is in essence a trap, but it's set up by our own karma. And it can be negative in a lot of ways because enlightened beings have told us that we're essentially stuck in this cycle of suffering, and there's a lot of pain with this existence that we live in. So anyone that's living a human life has definitely experienced pain. We all have painful situations in relationships or financial situations or whatever your karma happens to be. It's a painful situation. So like I said in the slide here, it's not necessarily thought of as like an energy harvesting mechanism like some of the new age groups or other metaphysical groups are thinking. This is more of karma that's taking place, and some of the negative karma that we're facing is a balancing of negative karma that we perpetuated in past lifetimes. Okay. So the idea with Vedic astrology is that there's this universal karmic accounting mechanism, okay, that is essentially, karma is actually very stoic. It's almost like planet Saturn. This karmic accounting mechanism is at play. So when you're going from life to life, there's just this karmic accounting mechanism. So as a soul, the idea, some people believe, maybe there's a planning session before your lifetime. That's debatable with Vedic astrology. But the idea is that you take on a certain bit of karma to be experienced within your current lifetime. Now, because people have, there's a lot of people that have negative karma. I could see why this idea of being in a soul trap or this reality being very negative could take hold. Okay. Now, remember, a lot of spiritual teachers have told us that this reality is known as Maya. So Maya is illusion. Okay. So there's a lot of illusions. There's a lot of confusion when we're here. And if we're not enlightened, essentially, we're not seeing the truth. We're actually very confused about the purpose of life down here. Now, the soul is compelled to complete the other portions of their karma until they reach a state of liberation where they're free of the cycle of samsara. So when we're talking about the balancing of a karmic slate, so let's say, for example, in one lifetime, maybe you were a prison guard. Well, in another lifetime, you're going to be a prisoner. So you get to experience both sides of the coin. So through this balancing of karma, that's what's taking place within, especially when we're looking at things in the context of astrology. So I don't necessarily feel like this is a malevolent soul trap, so to speak. But let me point you to what is the way out of this soul trap. So, okay, Vedic astrology is agreeing we are in a soul trap. We are in samsara. What's the way out? Okay, well, that's going to be following your dharma or your purpose in life. And a lot of what you can learn about your purpose in life is going to be through the dharma houses of your chart. So when we look at dharma houses 1, 5, and 9, and also their lords, you want to look at where the lords are. This gives us a lot of information about what is our spiritual purpose. And when you follow your dharma, you're really following the path, the fool's journey, so to speak, out of samsara, or out of this soul trap, so to speak. So essentially, as long as we're in this cycle of reincarnation, we are in a soul trap, so to speak. So it's quite an interesting thought, and it's quite an interesting theory. Now, Vedic astrology, the 12th house does represent beings. So if we're talking about disembodied entities, if we're talking about ghosts, spirits, that is actually accounted for in astrology. So if we're talking about whether there's malevolent beings out there that may, cause you problems in your journey, well, that's definitely supported with astrology. So there's also some truth with that if we're looking at the soul trap theory as well. So there's some truth with this idea of spiritual entities or spiritual beings influencing us for good, or influencing us for bad. So I thought I would like to discuss this in this video. Let me know what you all think about this soul trap theory. Let me know down below in the comments. Do you think that this is a malevolent soul trap, or do you think it's a little bit more neutral, like what astrology is saying? Is this more of just people are just living out their karmas? Let me know what you think down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will be putting out new content very soon. So thank you very much.